Hello and welcome to another Purveyor of Light Photoshop Quick Tip. Today we're going to have a little fun. We're going to add a little more interest to photos. We're going to put some motion into our photos, or at least the illusion of motion into a photo. And as you can see on the screen here, I've got a dirt biker, and it's a nice photo, but the one thing is he looks static. There's no illusion of motion that he's moving, and he obviously was moving. And I understand it's difficult to capture a photo sometimes with that much motion, so you choose a higher shutter speed than you should, and you wind up with a static image in there. Luckily, we have Photoshop, so we can maybe add some motion into this. So go ahead and let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to correct the crop on this. There's too much headspace for me. And I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to use the crop tool, and I'm going to do a 1:1 ratio, which is a square. Okay. And I'm just going to use my grid, and I'm going to move him up in the frame until maybe his head is on the intersection of the first of the thirds here. Okay. Get rid of all that upper space. I think that looks pretty good like that. So I hit enter to commit, and we're ready to rock and roll. I think it's a much more interesting crop, a better photo overall. And so we'll go from here. All right, so now how do we add motion? Well, what we got to do is we've got to isolate the background. We've got to isolate the subject. And then we got to put them all back together after we've worked with each one individually. So first thing I'm need to do is duplicate this layer, Command to Control J. And so now I have two layers, and the bottom layer is, I'm going to say select subject. Now, in Like It Project, you can come down here and you can use the select subject this way. You can go up in here and you can do select subject on the menu, or even on a quick action, you can go remove and select subjects here on the sidebar. So just like typical Photoshop, there's 62 different ways to do the same thing. Whichever you're convenient with, what you're comfortable with, what you like, there's no wrong way. So I'll come down here to the quick contact bar, and I'll say select subject. And there we go. It's done a nice job of isolating the subject, but I want to make sure that my background doesn't miss any of him. And when it's replaced, so I'm going to go up to select. And I'm just going to say modify the selection, and I want to expand it a little bit. And I'm going to say maybe 20 pixels. Okay, and we hit, and you can see now our selection is grown, expanded away from the bike and the subject. So it gives us a little extra headroom when we ask for it to do it. All right, so now with that said, what we're going to do is we have that selection. I want to turn around and right click on it anywhere on the selection, and then I want to hit delete and fill selection. So I'll do that. Photoshop's going to do some calculations, and there we go. I'm going to turn off the top layer so you can see what it did, but it actually deleted the material that was in the selection, and it's done a good enough job for our purposes. Okay, so now with that done, we have our top layer, and I want to remove the background and just have the subject on this layer. So I luckily have a quick add selection, say remove background. And there we go. And if I turn that on off, you can see it's removed the background by putting a mask on that layer. So we're just humming right along. I'm going to go back to the background layer here on the bottom, and I want to add the motion. Okay, that's the last step in here. So I want to add the motion. So I'm going to right click, and I am going to convert it to a smart object. Okay, that's so that if we need to come in and make changes, we can come back and repeat. Okay, so now we're going to go up to filter, And we're going to go to Blur Gallery and then to Path Blur. Okay. And now by default, it puts a little blue arrow here with the left to right direction. And that's the direction of the blur by default. So I could take these endpoints and I can move them anywhere in any direction I wish to work with. So I'm looking at the dirt, and so I'm going to put a path this way, and you can see that it's a curve. So maybe I want to put a little curve in my motion blur, maybe raise it up to match the road, and therefore the curve is going to match the road and look very natural. And if I need additional curves, I can most certainly put those in, okay, by just simply clicking and dragging. Okay, I can put as many as I need to convey the motion that I wish. All right, and I can grab the middle, and then when I have it, okay, and I'm happy, all right, the motion is there. Now I just simply come up to the speed, and this is going to be subjective. How much motion do I want to convey? And I just move the speed, let go, and let it draw. And you could see, okay, I can go extreme, right, which is way too much. And I could find a happy point. Let's see. That's looking pretty good right there, 65%. Okay, I'm going to make sure I checked high quality up here on the toolbar. This way it'll give me the highest quality result on the blur. And I go ahead and hit OK. Photoshop's going to do some calculations and then apply the blur. Okay, now you can see there's the blur. I'm going to turn it on and off. There's our original photo, and there's our thing. Just enough blur to make it look believable. But let's say you changed your mind. You say, I wish I had a little more blur. No problem, because we made it a small filter. We can just come back and double click on the blur. We're right back into the blur, and now we can adjust the speed, okay, by increasing it. Maybe there we want it at 108, say, and then we hit OK. And it's going to apply the effect. And there we are, the new filter. And again, showing the before and the after. There's the before, and there's the after. And I think you'll admit we have taken a good photo and we've made it a better photo by adding motion. And we've made it very believable and therefore a more interesting photo. So that'll do it for this week, guys. Till next week, you guys take care.